it is. The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us. Even now, in this very room. You can see it when you look out your window or when you turn on your television. You can feel it when you go to work, when you go to church, when you pay your taxes. Over your eyes to blind you from the truth. What truth? That you are a slave. And I've been talking to you for this entire time, and I've just realised that I'm muted. Mother blooming blasted. I'm trying not to swear. I'm trying to stay respectful. Is anybody going to join me? Bernie, you going to join me? Are you going to join me, sir? Squirrel Sniper, you going to join me? Jennifer? You're welcome. Jennifer, you're welcome to join me. No.
Come on, he's going to come and join me. Hey, Joe, you're going to join me. Do you want to join me? I've Skyped you a couple of times. I don't know if you've seen it, but. And also 10 minutes and you'll pop on. All right, mate. Cool. I need to go. Adam, dude, Adam Forrest and Joe, if you want to go into the Magic Treehouse chat, there's more people in there. There's actually not sure how many people, but there's more people. Yes, it's Joe. Oh, hang on. Put us on an equal footing. How you doing?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, can hear you just
It's
fine.
possible. It's possible if other people come on that I won't hear them again. Remember the last time?
Yeah, that was weird, wasn't it?
It was. So if that happens, I'll just hop off and let whoever come on.
Hopefully it'll be all right. Hopefully, hopefully if anybody else, Squirrel's going to join, so hopefully it'll be cool. When
That'll be cool.
we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah.
How are you doing? How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm jumping on to tell you that in about 13 hours' time, I'm going to be premiering a chat that I had with two other YouTubers, Athena of Human Witness and Anne Ishikawa of Skin Suit Manual.
Okay.
And the three of us are talking about the energies that are entering the realm at the moment and how it's affecting us and what we can do. And I think I said to you in Skype that I couldn't deal with anything at the moment, and I had to withdraw and process all this stuff. And a lot of really deep emotions have been coming up. And if anybody else is having stuff come up, it's because the energies come in to help us raise our frequency. So if you may believe in the ascension process or the expansion process or not, it just depends on what your background is and what your interest is. But if anybody is having emotional stuff, there is, from my perspective, a reason why. And it's part of how we are getting out of this realm. How are we evolving out of this, I was going to say shit show that we've been in? How do we get out of it? And it's through healing ourselves. And that healing journey is the path through and out into something greater.
Right. And is it because one thing that I've been considering is that absolutely everything that I'm witnessing outside of me, particularly in the outside world, is a reflection of something what's going on inside me. So it's like if I can deal with that, whatever that is, I'll start to see less conflict outside.
Absolutely. In a way, you're only seeing it because it's trying to, or the universe, or the creator, or however you want to see that source-like aspect, is trying to help you heal, trying to help you see what's in your signature, what's in your energy signature.
Mm.
And like Athena and I and Anne were saying that our experience of the lockdowns and everything in that 2 years was quite different to a large number of people. And it's because we have been on this sort of processing and self-awareness and growth journey for a long time, looking at all of our shadows, all of our what's the guy on the bridge in Lord of the Rings
Um,
when Gandalf falls down? The
Sauron.
big no, the big guy. It's actually what kills um, the wizard, the main wizard. Your necromancer,
The bad guy that
the
kills the
Balrog.
bad guy in the end.
Balrog.
A Balrog, right? Yeah.
The Balrog is Lord of the Rings was written, I believe, as a metaphor for this world, and that in that the depths of that mountain, we find our Balrog, we find our necromancer, we find the shadow, and that's giving us an opportunity. And that's what happened to Gandalf. He faced his Balrog, he faced his necromancer, and he went through a dying process, but arose greater. He became the White
And
Wizard
he became,
after.
the White Wizard. He became more of the light than
Yeah,
he was grey before. That's the thing. He was grey.
yeah.
So and then he was the Grey Wizard and then turned into the White Wizard.
Oh, Richie, Squirrel Sniper says your mic is
Yeah.
slightly.
I heard, I've turned it up a bit. Hopefully, it's okay for you. You've been able to hear me,
Oh, yeah,
okay?
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I've turned it up a bit.
So Jennifer Flores, you're the guy on the bridge. Are you Gandalf? Are you facing that necromancer at the moment? And that's what we were talking about last night on this thing that's going to be live tonight, or not live, but a premiere, is that we're all facing our own Balrog in a way at the moment, to bravely turn and look at it and get to know it. Yes, so Jennifer said yes, she's in that space too.
It, I suppose it leaves me like, bruh, what is it like? Because I thought I'd got, if I'm still seeing all this conflict and all this stuff that's still really pissing me off, what is it? What is it
You,
I've got to do? Like, because thought I'd dealt with all of that stuff, you know. I thought I was,
mm,
yeah. I thought I was more together.
I think one of the things that I've often said is the world is an illusion.
Hmm.
In a way that everybody sees a different reality. So if you're in a lecture and there are 100 people at that lecture watching one person speak, there
So
are
different.
essentially 100 different lectures going on,
Yeah,
and it's the same in this world.
yeah.
And so what I would suggest is that that you just sit with the anger. Take the angers off being directed at something and sit with that anger. And I think Voynich said, I think it was Voynich that said, go out and build something or chop wood, or so get the energy moving in a productive way rather than directing it at what is triggering you in the world. Because when something has negative energy associated with it, so say it's a government that's screwing us over and
Mm.
they're bad people and they have no conscience and they are greedy and they are whatever they are, all of their negative energies. If you add your anger to all those negative energies, it tends to compound the problem. And really, the way to change that clump of negative energies is to send it love, because love, beside being all, butterflies and puppies and stuff, it's a higher frequency. It's a frequency closer to source. So when you send love to this clump of negative people and negative intent, you are having an effect on the field of that situation. And someone may have a different thought. Oh my God, what am I doing? And it will shift it. It's got more of a chance of shifting that crappy situation than directing anger towards it or revenge towards it. So whenever you're speaking, say you're at a rally, and there are two opposing sides, and there's anger going backwards and forwards. If you can find your center when dealing with those people, you are more likely to diffuse the situation, because your energy is one of equanimity rather than hate or anger. And that's how we create change, from my perspective. And so, yeah, as you begin to process all your emotions around what these awful people are doing without directing at them, you will, in a way, quantum leap. You will move to a reality where that isn't what you see. As you just said, if you're still seeing stuff that's triggering you, it's because there's unhealed shadow within you, unhealed energies. And like when you think of, I think I've said this before, when you think of Kirlian photography, where they show you a leaf and you can see the energy around that outside of a leaf, that's us. We're all emitting a hum. And there's this soup. The field is the soup that's created by the collective consciousness of all of humanity. And it's made up of the animals, it's made up of everything is energy. So if, as more and more people heal their Balrog, heal their shadow, move into a higher frequency, whether that's compassion, whether that's empathy, whether that's love, whether that's allowance, all of those are higher than what we've been living in for far too long.
I guess that's why I'm a little confused if I just take, because I've been thinking, about this whole reflecting thing, because I've managed to get to a place where I'm able to detach from stuff, and I can see things much more objectively now, right? But it's like it's all this stuff about Biden, and all this stuff about the English, just the stuff about the king and the coronation coming up, and all this stuff about common law, and all of this stuff that I'm focused on, which is the complete theft of our sovereignty. Like we've been hoodwinked, completely hoodwinked, generationally, and given our power as people over to the wrong people, and then kind of had it indoctrinated into us that we don't have any power. That's that their power, and they've always had it, and we're down at the bottom of the pyramid, and they, they're all up at the top. When in reality, unless we do something about it in the next, from what I can see, you know, from what I'm seeing, from what I've been gauging, you know, we've got the next 7 years tops to change things, to remove that power that they're assuming, and to give it back to the people, to have the people take back what is rightfully theirs by birth, by, you know, all of this stuff that's been hidden from people. All of this, it's all ignorance. We've had ignorance just completely programmed into us. People are so indoctrinated that they laugh at the thought that, you know, that this is even real, that, you know, that actually, yeah, well, no, we do have the power. It's always with us. It's always been with us. That's why we have to vote. That's why we have to go and give our vote.
Yeah.
It's so much more than people realize. And then when you listen to people like Russell J. Gould, who I'm still, jury's still out on him, but I don't think anybody can prove him wrong. I think he's like, the claims that he's making are extraordinary claims. Nobody's like, if I don't know, man. He owns the copyright to the flag. He's the key master of the Vatican.
Yeah. I
He's
know.
got copyright of the something else, commerce flag. Like, and I think when you go and look at, he is actually, he's done all this stuff and all this stuff about quantum banking and quantum grammar, because legally it's all about the language, it's all about the grammar and the syntax, and but the trouble is he's packaged it all into this. You know, you can go and do his courses, right, and you can learn how to become a postmaster general yourself, and you can get your live life claim and everything, but it will cost bloody money. And I'm like, is there anybody out there that's going to just do this for free? Because really, if everybody gets what they deserve and what they're entitled to, then that puts us all on an equal footing. Maybe not everybody will know what to do with what they've got, but those people that show that they are interested, you know, and they want to learn, they want to take their control back, their power back. You know, why is there just no facility for people to get this information for free, which there should be?
Yeah.
So I've
Yeah.
written to them. I've written to Russell J. Gould, and I've basically laid it out and said to him, if you can, because he talks a lot about the heart and the mind and stuff, and like, if you can find it in your heart to help me, right, to help me do this, so I can demonstrate it being done to other people, to all the people that, all the naysayers that say it's a load of rubbish, I can demonstrate it being done. We can really give the power back to people. You can only lead by example, can't you? And I'm like, come on, we need to do something. We need to do something. Nobody's doing anything. So I'll bloody do it. But so far, everywhere I've turned, it's going to cost me money to do it. One way or another, it's going to cost me bloody money to do it, which I don't have. So, okay, I'll go to Russell J. Gould and see if he's the man of honor that he portrays himself to be. He's
Well,
going on YouTube channels, on these other YouTube channels, and he's talking about it, you know. But if it's all just to bloody sell his courses, then I don't know.
I am not invalidating how you feel. We have absolutely been screwed with. We've been, we've gone through terrible things here, and there's a huge inequality, and there is justification for the anger. Absolutely. All I can say is, from me, like I'm a different person than most of this group would ever come across, and it's funny that you and I have connected. Ki odaria testashtiana ki kembendes tushtemaka sebitisena koyatsesa. So we have a soul connection, and we are like not black and white, but we are very different beings in how we look at the world. Let me give you an example of how this stuff changes.
Squirrel Sniper's just come into the backstage, so I'm going to bring him in.
Okay.
Right. So yeah, Squirrel, here you go, mate. But carry on, please carry on.
So let's see if Squirrel, can you hear me? Can you talk?
I can hear you fine.
Oh, excellent. I can hear you too.
Yes.
Oh,
We're on a
we're
winner tonight.
beating the algorithm. You carry on.
Carry it. Right, you carry on, Joe.
So I worked with a woman who was having problems with her boss, and he was rude to her. He didn't respect her opinion, all of this stuff, and she couldn't change it and heal it. So I talked to her about energy, because it is energy. It is all energy at the bottom of all of this. Because matter is simply, this world is simply energy coagulated down slower and slower until it forms mass. It's what they call this being a hard light hologram. So we are light, but our energy and the frequency has gotten lower and lower until we come into mass. So it's all about energy. So this person drove her mad at work. And she has an energy exchange going between her and this person she's working with. And they are on a bigger level, on a big picture level, trying to help each other grow and heal. And whereas at this level, it's an incredibly tough relationship, it's frustrating, etc. So I got her to process the energy, the emotion she felt about this guy. I got her to drop him as a focus in her mind and just turn and sit and feel all the energy, all the emotion. So the emotion at its core is energy. It's part of the energy you are trying to heal. It's part of your signature. It's part of, you are living in an aspect of this realm according to the energy you live in. So when she turned, let him go, and just breathed and felt, took responsibility, didn't blame, just understood that this was an opportunity for healing, to process that energy. We did this on a Sunday, and 3 days later, a job popped up in her feed within her organization. She applied for it without having to do an interview. She got it. And she ended up being on the same level with him, and he was no longer her boss. And this happened within 3 days of her processing the energy of looking at this exchange from this big picture perspective. Now, she wasn't fully over it, because when she told him, he said to her, "Oh, you only got it because nobody else wanted it." But she hadn't healed it altogether, but she had healed it and changed the energy exchange, morphed it and
She put it on
healed
a
it.
more even footing. It was on a more even footing. Yeah.
Well, no longer needed the exact same lesson from this guy because she had healed her Balrog or healed a part of her shadow through taking responsibility for the emotion, through looking at this world and everything we go through as an opportunity for growth. There's a balance between living here and protesting and getting on your soapbox and putting out videos and looking at this as a blink in the eye of God. This lifetime we've been in is a blink in the eye of Source. And when you can look at it as from the big picture, we see, which is we're growing, we're learning. The world begins to reflect it. And how this change happened for this woman was she was no longer underneath the guy and reporting to him. He had no more control over her after she processed it. And I've seen this happen again and again and again. It's really down to energy. And all I can say is, for you, Richie, if you could start doing that process, see what happens. Let go of the government. Let go of what this guy's doing, the common law guy is doing, and just simply sit and breathe and feel.
I mean, if I think about it, it's this feeling of injustice and yeah, just seeing the worst people, the worst thing, or the hardest thing is that everybody that's in my sphere all sees these people. You all see these people. Everybody's dealing with the same problem, but if that's all part of the trick, like we're all seeing it, but we're all it's like a reflection somehow of each one of us. I'm not the only person here, even though this is a reflection specifically catered for me, and people are seeing similar thing. Everybody's seeing something completely different to what I'm seeing, even though we're seeing the same thing, and people are reacting differently to it, and it makes them feel differently. I think if we sit and talk about it, everybody feels the same way about the government, and and these entitled people, these elites that have managed to rob and swindle their way up to billionaire status, and now they think that gives them some right to dictate to the rest of the world how they should live, how they should be. So trying to understand where that's come from in my is that a lesson that I have to learn? Is it just part of my the journey of my consciousness, or is it something to do with karma from a previous life, or is it what because I feel like I've dealt with so much with me, and I understand me, and I feel like I understand what's going on, and I can see, I see I've got so much compassion, empathy, which leads to compassion in certain in the in the right situations where I'm able to actually do something, or not be able to do something, like in the case of Raquel and her abusive partner. Not being able, just it's horrible, man. Like, he hits her about and hurts her. I came in the other day and she's holding her, he smacked her in the face. And yesterday she's walking around holding her stomach because he's punched her in the stomach hard. And it's like,
It's terrible.
and if it's, but it's like this, I feel in a way, if this reflection thing's right, true, you know, maybe it's not, I don't know, but if it's that cut and dried, then I'm responsible. And maybe it's not really happening. It's a hologram or whatever, but I'm responsible for it. And I don't understand how. Do you know what I mean? Like, if it's some sort of inner turmoil,
You take outward steps and you take inward steps to resolve this. That's would always be my suggestion. If you can do something externally, get help for her, maybe chat to him, talk to the other residents.
that's not a boat I want to get onto, to be honest. But also, it's sailed and come back and sailed and come back again. And you know, he's gone to prison for.
She obviously hasn't got anyone else.
No, she doesn't. You know, they're Italian.
I don't know the story ins and out, but by the sounds of it, she doesn't have anyone else.
No, they've got a daughter, like a 8-year-old daughter.
Yeah.
And she's a little sweetheart, man. I've got pictures I've put up on my little fridge here that she's drawn me, and hang on, I'll show you. She came up and gave me this the other day, or the day before yesterday.
Oh.
Yeah.
I think I'm her boyfriend in this, but yeah, you know, I'll give her sweets and stuff, and like chocolate, and she's really happy most of the time. But the other day, she was really, I think she'd been told off. Right, but I don't know how much of it she witnesses. You know, how much, because they're actually in my old room. The room that I was in before this one, which was smaller than this room, and was too small for me, my 2 dogs and my cat. So I moved into this room. They've moved into that room, like a family of 3, basically. Moved into my old room. It's tiny. So I don't know how much of it she sees. But stuff like that going on around me, you know?
Yeah.
If that's some sort of a reflection of something that's going on internally, that is just a bit daunting.
It's, if you were to bottom line what you feel about that situation, that's your direction of inquiry. So
right.
What you're observing is something that is triggering your powerlessness. So you felt powerless in other times in your life, in your childhood, potentially in other lifetimes. So if you can go and process the powerlessness, feel how that feels, let go of that scenario for a moment, and just breathe and feel the powerlessness from the understanding that this powerlessness is in your energy makeup somewhere. And that if you can turn and face it and feel it, you will begin the healing and the resolution of that. Then when you think of these people, you won't be triggered to feel your powerlessness because you've looked at it and healed it. And when you observe them and think of them, you are more anchored in compassion than you are anchored in powerlessness. You'll be more anchored in love which is healing. So in directing love towards this scenario, you have a better chance of shifting it and helping them. If you can't do anything physically, energetically sending love to that situation, compassion for the man and compassion for the woman, for the drama they're in, and compassion for the child, that love and compassion will do more for that situation than feeling angry towards him or feeling grief
That's
towards the little girl.
honestly, that's what I'm trying to do. Like, with any interaction with them, you know, that's the energy that I'm giving. Just warm, compassionate energy to it, like with him as well. Like, I'm not. I was really pissed off when I heard about it the first time. I was like, "Do you want me to go and sort him out?" And you know, I was ready to go and hit him. And
That's not going to resolve anything though,
no,
because
no, it
that's,
wasn't. I'm my
you know,
brain. I
it's
think
going to
so quickly about these things, man. I went through all the scenarios, and
two worlds collide.
there wasn't one in which where there was a good outcome, where there was any violence at all. Violence was or aggression, or you know, or anything. It's not my place to, you know, this is a situation that's been going on for a long time. I can't just come in and start, you know, and stick my oar in, because it's something that she's kind of allowed back into her life, knowing exactly what the deal is. She knew what the deal is. It's, you know, yeah.
So what do
Everyone
you
has hope, so,
Hey,
you know,
second.
everyone has hope,
Yeah.
you
I
know.
think it's just, honestly, it's just circumstances.
Yeah.
It's circumstances that are causing it. No money.
But
No
when what
money.
I said about that woman and her boss,
Yeah.
those two people have the same thing going on. They are trying to work something out and heal something, and
Mm.
we can't really know their soul's journey. So all we can do is offer them love, offer them
Yeah.
compassion, and there isn't much more. But let me just say, in a funny way, there's a common thread between what you are observing and feeling with this couple in what you feel is happening with the government and the world, that we are being abused and we are powerless to stop that abuse.
Mm.
So it is showing you in big and little ways that in your energy is an experience of powerlessness, of being abused that hasn't been healed. And it shows you on a big scale and it shows you on a little scale,
Well,
which is
that's
why it's always important to bottom line what you're feeling about anything that triggers you. And you will see a pattern, you will see the common thread,
it's
and that
always
is how you
powerlessness.
identify it. Mm.
It's always powerlessness, and if I like, I know straight away what it is. I know it's from my experience through private school, and then when I got out of private school and I went into normal school, I exerted my power. Like I felt like because the status quo had changed, everything had changed, like the whole dynamic had changed. So that gave me more. I felt more empowered, I guess, to do something and to stand up for myself. In private school, I didn't. I was like, I was terrified.
Exactly.
I was
Exactly the
terrified in
same.
private school.
When someone did something wrong at school, the entire class got detention. That was private school all the way through. And if you didn't own up, the first person would get the least amount,
Mm.
and then it would get worse and worse and worse. And if there was 6 of you involved, the last one to get it would get 6 times the punishment of the first person that had owned up.
Do you know, the funny thing is, I don't remember ever being in trouble with the teachers. All my trouble was in, I mean, apart from PE, I used to come up with all kinds of stories as to why I couldn't do PE, and why, like one time I said I didn't have my kit, and so it made me go out there in my fucking pants.
Yeah, that's standard.
Yeah,
You should have
and
learned that by now.
pissing it down with rain as well, man.
Yeah,
But you know,
it matters not.
it's it was the older kids in my school. It was like so when I was 5.5, 6, so it was just always the older kids. And yeah, and I never really made any friends, so I didn't have anybody standing up for me. I was always getting singled out.
And that's where you feel you are right now.
And they were all rich kids. That's the thing. They were all fucking rich kids. And I came really, in comparison, from a poor family. Like my dad was my family was an aspiring upper middle class. My dad was, on his way up the corporate ladder, but we weren't millionaires yet. And everything was in paper. It was all, dad was faking it till he made it. So, yeah, I guess that'd be quite interesting if everything that I'm experiencing and witnessing and getting pissed off of is just this inner turmoil from when I was a fucking child.
Absolutely it is. It's the patterns that we live over and over. It's going to keep coming at us in various ways, shapes, and forms until we deal with it in a different way than we've dealt with it before. That's my experience. Like, this has been my life's focus.
Yeah, because you keep recognizing it, don't you?
Yeah, and then when you
until you do recognize it, you're stuck in that pattern of, despair that's part of your dungeon programming, I suppose.
Yeah.
You have to recognize it. You have to see it head on to what it is. And I don't even know if you have to agree with it or not, or, even overcome it. Just to know it is to overcome it. That's part of the battle.
I suppose it's another thing.
Letting go, and
yeah,
these things happen.
Go.
These things happen everywhere, and it's a test on your own emotions, and you have to go with the ride. You have to experience everything that you experience, and it's how it molds you as a person, and you have to discern everything. You have to discern your emotions as well.
Yes.
Emotions are there to trick you at the most time when you need, a confirmation of your own inner emotion. You have to seek what really lies deep within you. And sometimes you get caught up in so many different things that are conflicting, that are happening subliminally. That's what it's there, put in there for. That's why we see things as macro and micro, as you say. Everything is relatable because it's part of a program that's been put there maliciously, in a way. But we've just got to see it as what it is.
Well, I mean, I think that's,
and be strong about it,
but
accept.
That's potentially two realities merging there.
There's more than
like
two. There's
this possibility that we're living in a simulation that's been hijacked, that's and they've stolen the they've stolen the guidebook and the rules and everything, and they've rewritten the rules and they've rewritten the history and all of that. That might just be that's
Or we're hijacking it.
macro.
We might be hijacking it ourselves and not even knowing it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It might be the absolute macro of our own internal, because what we've got is a whole group of people. You know, if it's
Well, they have control of us, but we have control of ourselves.
Yes.
what if it, what if it is like we're the only one? Look, we can't wake people up, and we're trying to wake people up. We can't wake people up. Nobody's listening. Blah, blah, blah. And the only people that we can communicate with are the people that we connect with online, right? But what if? So we're all stuck in this simulation thing where we're all sort of seeing the same sort of thing, but really all we got to do is we've got to sort out these inner conflicts, this old stuff that we have to work out. And if we can all do that, then the rest of it's going to evaporate, and we're going to move up. We're going to move into the next stage of whatever this realm can be.
That's what it
we
is.
have to get through.
We're still working on an older model, even though we know that the old model's not what it should be.
Yes. See, they've kept us, these controllers have kept us on a hamster wheel of all of these heavy, dense emotions for a long time. And through affecting the reality, through the disparity between the rich and the poor, through having to work 9 to 5, through mortgages, through the banking system, through struggle, survival. And these energies have kept us, we've been on this hamster wheel. And the only way is to first identify that we're on a hamster wheel, and then it's up to us to take the power back to step off that hamster wheel. So it's first identifying it, as you say, Squirrel, see what's going on. And for me, understanding your programs is really about 80% of changing your life, because so many people are so busy, so tired, so caught up in the drama that they never do any inner healing. They're just in this energy thing with all of the things around the planet. So it is to pull out and go, okay, this is what I'm stuck in, this hamster wheel. How do I get off the hamster wheel? By first identifying it. And second, choosing different emotions, choosing higher frequency emotions. First of all, allowance or acceptance or peace, compassion, and then love. And all of the things that have kept us here will no longer be a match for us. The more we choose to feel differently about what's happening next door, about government, and find that higher, loftier, even at times. I mean, look, it's bloody difficult to do it all the time, because I see it too. I mean, I don't totally turn off the news and not look at the internet. And there are some people that do that, but I sort of keep a bit, a finger in all these different areas. But I make my focus the guard.
As you say, it is part of the reality construct that is being put in front of you. So you need to know what there is to be able to understand what they are portraying. In a sense, you know it's a narrative, it's a storyline, it's a script, and you have to keep it that way, and you can't let it slip. And I think sometimes it can, just the slightest things, and it might just be a storyline of something, and that puts you into a different area where you shouldn't need to be. You've dropped back into that lower level, and it keeps you there, instead of staying up where you were beforehand.
It's important to have, though, the compassion for yourself when you do go back into the old stuff.
Oh
Because
yeah,
we've
yeah,
been living in this hamster wheel for eons. This is generational. This is in our DNA. This is
Yeah.
in us at a very deep level. So when we are choosing to have a new thought and choosing to focus on the garden or something, the animals or whatever, we are defying and trying to change our body physiologically as well. It isn't just a simple, sometimes you can make that leap and you just don't go back. But because the body and the DNA and the chemicals in our body being in this set pattern and formation for so long, it's too easy to come back into it. And we will do initially, but have compassion. Okay, here I am back here again. Let's put my focus somewhere else for a while.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I recognise when I just have a conversation with someone, and that kind of almost triggers me, and I kind of within 5 minutes I realised instantly, that I knew the scenario was going to come up,
Mm.
and I could have changed the scenario before that, and that's what I plan to be looking for next time.
Mm.
The kind of conscious, not the subconscious, but now my conscious, because I have recognised it, and that's what I've got to keep in mind. More conscious, more conscious.
More aware. It's about being aware in the moment as
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
Not
exactly.
getting that's the most difficult thing, I think.
Well, being a tree surgeon, when you're up a tree, you're in the moment at every single moment. Otherwise you wouldn't be up there.
Mm.
And I've got to use that when I'm on the ground
Right. That's
doing everything
when
else.
you're dealing with a tree.
That's what I'm in my
Yeah.
element. Yeah.
Yeah. But when you're dealing with another living man or woman,
Well, everything is energy.
in the
Don't forget.
moment, then it's different, isn't it? Yeah, because the energy that you're getting from the tree is different from the energy that you're getting from the energy you're getting from the tree is a pure earthly, beautiful energy, but the energy that you're getting off people
Yeah.
is something completely different. So, yeah, so staying in the moment when you're
You can
in
see
the
what you need
presence
to
of
work with.
when you're in the presence of other strong energies. If you're in the presence of a strong ego or an egotistical person that's pushing your buttons somehow. I'm talking about for myself.
Yeah.
If I'm in that moment and somebody pushes the right buttons, being aware enough in that moment to not let those, for them not to be buttons, for it to just to be able to deal with it, not get triggered, not snap back or whatever. It's
Well, a lot of things are hardwired into our brain. A lot of these thought patterns, these programs are in like a path within our neurons, within our neural net. And so it is a well-worn path. It is like a ditch that we walk in, theoretically or metaphorically. And when we are trying to change, we are trying to change the structure of our brain. And when you are about to step on a well-worn path of reacting to something and you go, here we go, I'm about to blow up, or I'm about to get angry, or I'm about to retaliate and put all these chemicals out. If you are to get to a point where you go, okay, I'm not going to take this well-worn path, I'm going to stand in my power, I'm going to become the observer, that neural net pathway in your brain begins to atrophy. The one that's connected to anger, or the one that's connected to powerlessness, or whatever it is that we constantly feel. This is the deal. It's not just changing your mind. We've set up our physical system to agree with these thoughts, to agree with these chemicals, to be addicted to the chemicals of anger, to be addicted to the chemicals of powerlessness. And every time we think about when we were powerless, even if we're sitting alone in the house and we remember the government and what they're doing, we are firing that pathway, and we are releasing those chemicals related to powerlessness, and the body gets used to eating it and feeding it, and the receptor sites accept that type of neurotransmitter, that chemical. So when you're trying to change your thought, the body wants you to still release that chemical. So that's why when you're sitting happily at home cooking or doing something, a thought will pop up in your mind that will make you think back on the government, because your cells are saying, I want more of this chemical. And they send a little marker back up to the long-term memory, and it's like a filing cabinet. And you pull out a file, and there's the memory. And that neuronet pathway fires, the chemicals release, and the body's going, great, I'm being fed, because it's used to eating anger, or it's used to eating powerlessness, whatever it is. So
we just got London Man's just London McLovin has just joined us. I'll just bring him in.
Yeah.
Hey.
What's up, London?
What's that? Mic check, mic check.
You've saved me, London, from the big face.
Screw. What's happening, my car?
Top man.
I'm good, fellas. I'm good, ladies and gentlemen. Pleasure. How are we doing?
Have you, Joe? Do you know London Man?
Of course.
I do. We talked on your little.
Oh yeah.
Come on.
I've done so
How
many.
you going,
Too many sleepless nights. Too many.
Yeah.
What's the
Somebody
get up? What's the get up?
Squirrel.
Say it again.
Squirrel, someone said you looked like Blair Witch Project when you were the big face.
The Blair Witch Project. That's a compliment. That's good. I like that.
No, it's
all about perspective.
You need to be all snotty and breathing heavy for it to be real Blair Witch Project, isn't it? Snotty nose. I just remember a snotty nose. Real close up, snotty nose. And wide eyes. Yeah.
Hey,
so, London Man, why so many late nights?
No, I'm referring to Richie. Like he forgot our encounter, but also myself as well. You know, I have plenty late nights. I mean, my face has got bags like crazy right now. That's why I'm not even camered up. But I want to give a big warm welcome to my man Dean Kendall down there. Dean Kendall, that's my good. He's a good guy, man. Dean Kendall, my OG, very good guy. I think Squirrel's met him once before. I think you maybe as well.
Dean's been around for a while, man. I remember Dean from a couple of years ago. Yeah.
Salute to the chat. See JP down there. See Noel. See TW. Yeah, good people down there.
Renstar Wonderlust.
Yeah, Renstar. Oh yes,
Renstar. Now, Mystical Rock Count.
Adam Forest, I can see.
Thank you to everybody that's here, by the way. And I know Just JP, TW, all of you guys. Thank you. I'm glad I went live now. I was sat here. I was like, oh man. I really wanted, all day, I just really wanted to go live, and just things just kept happening. And then when I went live, I was like, I've never go live at this time. I hope there's going to be somebody around. There's nobody else live right now, so I hope I get a few people turn up. So that's cool. So if we're all kind of seeing some of the same things, well, I suppose we could be seeing the same things but not feeling the same.
Yes.
Like my big thing is powerlessness, feeling injustice and powerless, and seeing this powerlessness, feeling powerlessness. But yeah, that might not be everybody's. That might not be what is getting everybody, Or maybe everybody's got that. Maybe everybody's seeing powerlessness as well, because we've all got these things from in our past, where we were but in our childhood, probably where we were left powerless or feeling powerless, unresolved.
I think it connects back to us being slaves,
Right.
created as slaves, which is a bit contentious, I know.
I don't think we were created as slaves. I think that an opportunity was seized to turn us into slaves.
Oh, yes, you're right. You're
Yeah.
right.
I agree with that way. I was, you know what, I was gonna say that, but you worded it correctly. Thank you.
It's like this the idea of iniquity, because that was kind of the first sin, really, of Lucifer, wasn't it? Lucifer in the biblical narrative, Lucifer found iniquity because he felt that he should have been held in a higher regard than Adam, who God was saying, "But you have to bow down to him." That is that what this all boils down to? Like iniquity. We've all, because I guess I'm just thinking about that's what it is. It's this seeing these people that we're all meant to bow down to, but they're not. They're not the sort of people that are worthy of that respect.
Be recognised for exactly what they are.
Yeah.
And how I define that, what you're talking about, as someone that has come at this situation from I hate to use the term new age, but from a spiritual perspective, what I see has happened through the ages is our own divinity has been taken out of us.
Yeah.
And put in the intermediary, the priest, or put into the Pope, or put into a god,
or into
with
a
a
cross, or an idea put into something external to us, something that we have no physical connection to, that's outside of us and outside of this realm, out there, untouched.
A medium.
Yeah, and that we are
our own mediums.
Yes, we're own. We can have a very personal interaction, connection, relationship with the Creator. And nobody can define that for us. Nobody can tell us how big it should be, or how small it should be, or how direct it should be. It's us that are in direct relationship.
See, that's what I was talking about earlier with Roxanne. We were talking about, in a lot of ways, me and Roxanne's lives kind of mirror, in strange ways. But one of the things that's different is she had religion kind of rammed down her throat, and she was seeing the conflict between Protestant and Catholic, because her dad was Catholic and her mum was Protestant. So there was this big thing, Scottish, that's a big thing in Scotland. It's not so much in England anymore, but still, and especially back then, it was still a big thing. Whereas me, I had no real, I knew we were Church of England, and I was christened, and we went to weddings in churches, and we went to baptisms or christenings. They were christenings, not baptisms. They were christenings. But nobody ever told me that I had to believe in anything at all. It was told right from when I was, for as long as I can remember, there was always this question mark. God might be real, but we don't really know. Nobody, you're going to find out when you die, basically. And there was no indoctrination religiously at all. Yet I have been talking to God for as long as I can remember. And I went through a period in my childhood when I felt compelled every time I heard my friends swearing and particularly using, Jesus Christ or God, or using what I thought to be using the Lord's name in vain kind of thing, blaspheming or whatever. And I'd say a little prayer under my breath. I'd say it out loud, but under my breath, so nobody would hear me. I'd put my hand up like this, and say a little prayer under my breath, like, please forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. They've got no idea, that they're doing this. But nobody told me to do that. It was just something that I felt compelled to do for a while. I guess because must have had something to do with something I'd learned about Christianity in school, But
Yeah, but I've always wondered why people that don't follow the Christian or any kind of religious belief use Christian words as a negative word anyway. It's part of their programming, isn't it?
I see it more as rather than it's like, I suppose like a negative expression.
Why would they use a word that is linked with a religion, part of their repetitive negative energy? The word bloody hell, I've heard so many times from so many atheist mothers who have no clue, and they say it over and over again.
My parents,
and the child hears it over and over again, and it's the most common word.
It wasn't.
That they
it
hear
wasn't
for most
considered.
negative.
It wasn't considered swearing in my house.
No, but even so, you're connecting that religious belief to an atheist negative energy. It's become spiritual, even though that you are not connected.
And it's an expression of frustration or anger or exasperation.
When you're in shock, and you're an atheist, have you ever said, "Oh, Jesus Christ"?
I mean, I've never been an atheist, so
no, but it's a question that's out there. Any atheists out there that have ever stopped and actually said, "Oh my Jesus Christ"?
I think what that is social programming.
Yeah,
it's like conditioning
down to a T.
It's basically.
So it doesn't mean it has to be about religion.
I think we're more programmed than people understand.
London man's he says, I'm just gonna go and try and come back. I don't know if he was having problems with the sound.
Yeah.
This stuff is deeper in us than we realize, these programmings, and when people are say they're atheist, I think that that on some sort of the level that I call on the head, on the adult, on the rational aspect they are, but deep within their psyche, there is still the influence of the religion, because it is woven into so many parts of society, and it is it'll be in your family somewhere, and it is.
Well, they need to go through it.
Really, it's only been.
They need to go through it to understand that it's. If
we think about it as well, right?
It's put there.
It's only been in the last couple of generations that they've moved it out of the school and out. It's like we used to be a lot more religious than we are. Back in the in the Second World War, people were a lot more Christian.
Yeah.
than they are now. There were a lot more Christians around. A lot more people went to church. It was a much more important aspect of society than it is now. Now it's like who's
I think there was a big thing with the bank and the churches at one point, and the churches were sold out by the banking system, and each of their taxes that they were given, they had to give like to the council tax basically, and that's what drove them down because they didn't have enough money to pay the churches to the councils every month. That's been happening for the last 30 years, at least since 1980, when my father was looking after an old church that was in the last of its years of shutting down because it had no funding to keep the village, parish together,
Mm.
and all these people were over, I suppose, the age of 60, really. It was a place where they all got together. It's this little country village church.
Which really
But
is, you'd think that the Vatican or whatever would get involved, and because it's not like they don't have any money, is it?
no, of
It's not
course not.
like they could fund the refurbishment of all the churches and get everybody. They could do that. They've got the money to do that.
Well, they had done that in the past, but that's not part of the agenda now, is it?
No.
They've done that, and now it's time to sweep up. And it was to clear all the religious beliefs and put an atheist scientific belief across, in the last 100 years, from my perspective, and I think also there's going to be a reversal of this. And I think it's going to have a negative effect this last 3 or 4 years, and I think you might find a more Christian, at least a front of a Christian.
It's going to be more fundamentalist. It's going to
Yes,
be
there's going to be more of a religious stance in the UK and Europe, I think, within the next 2 years.
I think in America,
I think we'll see it.
I think in America it's going to be huge. I think it's going to.
Yeah, I can see that already.
So
Even the swing from the left to the right in Europe with the farmers now, that's all started coming out.
it's all what we place our focus on, because from my experience and what I look at, there are many people who are choosing to take their power back, to find a deeper connection with source beyond all the traditional religions, and they do exist out there. But I wanted to also go back and show you how we are easily programmed. And I had an experience. So you guys know I went to this spiritual school for many years. And in this school, we talked about, we understood that we'd lived and been many different types of beings. We'd been all colors, all races. We'd been all ends of the spectrum of between good and bad. And so we had a lot of people from different nationalities in the school. The school traveled and was in something like 23 different countries around the world. And I didn't really watch the news a lot. I didn't even have a TV, but I did read the papers and we did discuss this stuff. And I was there when 9/11 happened. I did see that on the TV because we turned it on and we saw the second plane. And one day I walked into our little local supermarket and I looked over to the right and there were new owners of this little local supermarket, and they were Sikhs, and the guy had a turban on, and I went in fear. It was such an automated response, and I caught myself like immediately understanding that somehow I'd been caught up in this news coverage, this thing that these people were responsible for this and they were to be feared, and everybody had US flags on their car, and it was us and them, and every time the president spoke, and Osama bin Laden and all of this stuff. And it shocked me that somebody that I've dated a Pakistani guy, I just dated an African American guy. I have had no background for this. I went to school and had 12 girls that I used to hang out with. There were 2 Caucasians in that group. So I had this very open, liberal perspective. But because of the general energy, because of the collective energy and the collective focus, I went, when I saw that guy. And it was such an eye-opener how we have to be careful what we put our focus on. Because whether we want to or not, we get caught up in that energy, in that perspective, and need to pull out all the time. So this is how this stuff happens. It was totally shocking for me that I would react instantly with a gasp of fear.
I mean, those people that are still plugged into mainstream media, they're being programmed all the time, obviously. We're still being programmed through the alternative media because they've got out ahead of that as well. Like they could see that one come in from a mile off and got out ahead of it, and still managed to keep control. It's relieving to think that this is it's not right. It isn't just my reflection that I'm seeing, right? It's not like if I can fix all my issues that suddenly the entire earth is going to change and everybody's experience is going to change. I don't think it works like that. I think this is a collective thing. Like you said, maybe it's a generational, collective, genetic soul memory, like something that we've been going through as a collective.
I think we have to go through it. It's part of our emotional roller coaster. It's the level we're at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah.
If we had blinkers on, we wouldn't be talking about this now. We'd be happy in bliss.
And there
with
are
ignorance.
There are people in bliss who live in the now, who live, within their community, helping their community. And that's not right or wrong. It's just their choice this lifetime to go through life living it a little bit differently or differently to other people. But we're in the greater collective, looking at it, learning, growing from my perspective. And in a way, what's that? Sorry, what was that, Richie?
I was just going to say, yeah, each one of us is seeing it from our own unique perspective. But it's
but on a different level to another group of people seeing it from their perspective. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
We're on a slightly higher frequency, but still seeing it through our own perspective.
It's like
Yes.
how many?
But
So how many? Like how many people are real, and how many people are background characters to your own personal story? Like, is it just the people that we connect with and we can interact with, and on this sort of level, like we're all finding our tribes and whatever, and our tribes are all connected. All the different creator tribes are all connected. They're all somewhere along the line connected. They're most of the people watching me are subscribed to the same sort of channels and see each other in all the different channels, Bernie's channel and Cam's channel, and so is it that we are the only real people in this experience, and everybody else, that all the other people that we're seeing and not connecting with are background characters?
Possible. But again, I would always say, how does it make you feel?
What if they're background characters? How does that make me feel?
Yeah, if this is because what you're saying is, what does that mean? What you're saying? What are the ramifications or the implications of the fact that a huge percentage of the people that are going through these things may be background characters, and us and our group that we connect with are the only real ones? What does that say to you? Why does that thought come into your mind? What is it? Why did that thought come there? What is the bottom line of that thought or that reasoning? Is it simply interesting, or is it that this is a lie, or that this is a game? What is that? Again, why did your focus go to that thought? This is just how I look at my world. Why do I see that? Why did that thought come up? Why do I have that concept? Am I reacting to it? I mean, I live in a very different way.
I think I mean because I'm pretty sure that all of this for every one of us is about the evolution of our consciousness. And I think our consciousness is the connection between
I
the
think it.
physical
I think
and the spiritual.
it takes less people to connect than we actually recognise. I think if there is a small amount of us that are on this frequency that can see that reality actually isn't exactly what it is, we maybe are the ones that can actually control what really goes on. But we need to connect in a slightly different way than we know we need to connect, and we are connecting.
But the information that we're passing between us needs to change.
Yes.
The information that
we're saying the right information, but we're not all. It's some of it's contradicting. Some of it. People are still last week. Some people are looking into next week.
It's not a unified energy yet.
We have to all be balanced. Yeah,
it's not it's not a unified balance. Then it's like we're misfiring. We're scattered out all over the earth.
Yeah. It's working, but at such a small optimistic level that we're only seeing small changes. We're only seeing small little bits. We are seeing growth. We are seeing new ideas, and
it's weird, isn't it? Because on one hand, I'm seeing the WEF and the WHO and Joe Biden and Rishi Sunak, but then on the other hand, I'm seeing hey, look at this. This looks like normal people are waking up. Like you got Richard Vobes talking about common law and talking about the King's Garden, and what I see through that is that there's a whole demographic of people that I wasn't reaching that now are going to be thinking about and talking about exactly what I want them to talk about and think about, and what I would.
Well, it's their time.
So, but it's this, it's like we've got both things going on. It's not all, it's not all doom and gloom. It's not everything's accelerating off in this direction and there's no hope. We're accelerating. They seem to be speeding it up a little bit, but
Well, that's the whole point of perception, isn't it?
And the faster they speed up, the more people wake up faster or realize faster, or
I think it's for them to slow us down, not for us to speed up.
Yeah.
I think our natural thing is to wake up, but their whole point is to dumb us down, and I think there's going to be a tidal wave at some point. There has to be. It's going to be an all or nothing, and it has to be down to us to do something slightly different, either a different approach or
Okay, I'll tell you what, mate. The King's coronation is going to be an interesting one, right? They haven't released.
They
haven't released the King's oath yet. What his oath's going to be?
No, or the money. They haven't mentioned anything about the money, because what's going to happen with the new king's head?
Oh yeah, with all
the coins.
Well, see, I just see this as he's known as the cashless king. So I think with what's going on with the banks in America, I think they are.
To be honest, he's not even a king, is he?
No, but
it's not even Charles. It's not even Charles.
Exactly. It's an actor playing a role, a very long role from a very long, staged play, the longest one in history.
Well,
it's ongoing.
It's been going on for our whole, it seems to have been going on for our entire lives.
How many times has someone said that?
But if our lives is all about us dealing with these inner issues and reconnecting with each other and balancing out and becoming, full on sages, I don't know where I was going with that.
Alchemists had schools for these, back in the day. We'd have all this knowledge by the time we were 6 or 7. This is the difference.
Well, this is what we think, isn't it? Like everything that we think is all based on what we've.
We would have been so knowledgeable if we had the intent to be knowledgeable, or if we wanted to be a farmer, we would have just been a farmer. We've always had intent. You can't read stories like how we grew up. I don't think we can reflect on how we imagine history to actually be. We were survivors.
I really think history, if you imagine it, if you just think about it and try and put yourself there and actually think through what, let's think through the Crusades or one of the wars, and I've done it so many times, I'm there in the battle. I don't know if I'm reliving old lives.
The program must be, the programming is almost like a fantasy.
Right. But when I really think about it, I just don't. I'm like, I can't see it.
That's what I'm saying. It's a fantasy.
Yeah, this whole idea of 10,000 men all,
Mystical.
all lining up with swords and shields and spears and whatever, and just going at each other. The only battle that's going to be taking place is along that line, and everybody here and here, all right. So
Yeah.
you got archers. When that, that changes the gate, the field. The amount of carnage that would take place in such a short space of time, and the bodies building up, like the injured and everything. It just doesn't seem like a scenario that it may have happened once or twice, but I don't think it happened much after. Maybe it did happen once or twice, and then that was it. Everybody realised it.
How would you feed and home an invading army of 300,000
Well, exactly. I mean,
in a country that you're invading that you don't know?
Mm.
this whole thing about Alexander, Alexander the Great, and his whole quest across
The Roman battles every 5 years, of 100,000 men.
feeding all the men, feeding water in the horses.
Yep.
It's kind of, yeah, it's a lovely
And
story.
who clears up all the bodies?
Like, they have a hard job feeding the men now. They have to use these silly little ration packs. That's the only way they can do it, is with these silly little fucking ration packs. That because of the space and everything. So, how long
So
have
the key is
ration packs been around?
when did they insert us into the program?
Yeah.
That is the question. If all they have been feeding us is lies on history, when exactly were we inserted?
Or when was this narrative overlaid?
Mm.
And I think it had to have been a gradual thing. They had to overlay it gradually.
And I keep thinking the Dark Ages is there for a reason,
Well, the Dark Ages was only the
Again.
Dark Ages in Europe. It wasn't actually dark anywhere else. They've
Yeah.
still got history. They've still got
Historical
history,
wise.
haven't they?
Well, where I am at the moment, as I take it all with a grain of salt, unless I was there, how can I prove it? The only thing I know certainly is that I'm sitting here in this house right now. Even how can I tell you what I remember from yesterday is actually what I went through? Because we are shifting realities all the time when we are becoming more and more awake and aware. And so our past that we lived isn't necessarily the past that we remember right now, because we move and we shift constantly. So this is the point of this now moment, is the point of power. What are you going to do with now? How are you going to feel now and react to what comes up in your now? Because that determines with what next moment unfolds from my perspective energetically. So in understanding all this is happening, I just look at it from a different perspective, that this is it. This is all I can prove. Absolutely. And even then I can't prove that because I could be a hologram. So what is the thing that we're dealing with? We're dealing with what is coming into our reality to make us either feel safe or bad or fearful or joyful. And that's what we deal with. Obviously, we want to choose to move more towards the joy and the peacefulness, but this stuff comes up where we don't. So this is, for me, the most important point to focus. Because again, I can't prove any of that history stuff. I mean, the simplest thing is history is written by the victors. So what happened to the people that didn't win? where is their history or their version of what's happened? So again, it's fascinating to look at it and to contemplate it. But for me, it's here and now, right now.
I mean,
Yeah.
I was kind of excited when this whole COVID narrative started playing out because I straight away I saw and I said, like, this is great because people are going to
They're playing the
see,
cards.
they're going to see what they're going to see it in real time. They're going to see their modus operandi in real time. You know how they they only publish what they want to be remembered, what they want to be recorded, and that's only ever going to be their narrative. That's why they don't publish. You know, they don't. There's no truth in the media. There's no this. We live in a fictional world. Everything is fiction. It's all corporate fiction. So the last
I
3
thought,
years,
first of all, this is just a test. This is just a big test. You know, it's that one that you need your brain for. That one.
hmm,
You know, the one that you're going to have to do something either spiritually or physically. And if you've physically done it, then you're still at that lower level of actually understanding what is actually going on. You know, you haven't stepped into that spiritual side and looked deeper and realized that there is all this bullshit that's trying to control the narrative. You know, it has to be the only reason why. You know, people have lost their inability to search within and realize that we are all being controlled and manipulated. And
so much of it is about emotional intelligence, I think, as well. Because so much of what we're dealing with is like misplaced anger, particularly within the communities and stuff. But part of the reason people are the way they are when they're not very nice people, or or they like the trolls and stuff. People that aren't bots, they're real people, but they're just really angry, and they've got a chip on their shoulder about something, and they come in attacking.
it's because we've got a license to be ridiculed. It's what it is, you know.
Well, we put ourselves in the
On the
firing line,
parapet.
don't we? Yeah, we put ourselves up on the basically line up.
But the program for them is that they are allowed to ridicule. Yet when we ridicule them, that goes against the narrative.
Thanks for being here, Natalie. I'm not sure where you are, but
it's too small. I can't read any of that. It's way too small.
Natalie Rankler.
Thanks for stopping by, Natalie.
Nice to see you,
Natalie. Come from your channel, because I don't recognise.
I don't recognise Natalie either.
He just doesn't, not chatting that often, but yeah. No, it's gone. It's gone. I was going to say something. Well, Sterling's here.
It's really, there's no simple answer to this, and you have to find peace with the fact that there is no simple answer.
Mr. Sterling, sir, how you doing?
Hey,
even Sterling.
Connection good? Audio okay?
Yeah,
here you are.
Cool. Have you met Joe? Joe, have you met Sterling?
No, I haven't.
Sterling's one of my more well, actually, no, he's not. I was going to say he's one of my more normal subscribers, but there's nothing normal about Sterling at all. He's extremely strange. He's an enigma. He's like off in Colombia. like living the high life, staying in Airbnbs, and I don't know I don't even know what you do for a living, man. I don't know. You could be what is that?
Oh, just a little, little Colombian lager here. Cheers. Go on, but you were talking about me, so don't let me stop you.
Yeah, no, yeah. It just occurred. Well, I don't know what you. I don't really know that much about you, Sterling. I don't know what you do for a living. If you do anything for a living, or you're just,
Yeah,
living on a trust fund, or
yeah.
what's going on?
You know,
You're living free though, by the looks of it. You know, basically Sterling said to me, "I can fit all my belongings in a backpack,"
exactly.
and gone.
Which hey, look, nobody. I don't know who's normal and normie. I've heard that word thrown around. I take no offense to it, but gosh, let me just tell you, if I'm normal, then you all are fucked, like big time. But we're all. I mean, I am definitely eccentric. I can fit all my shit in the backpack and be at the airport in an hour. That's true. So,
I guess.
yeah.
I guess what I mean by normal is that, like when you first came on my channel, it wasn't because you're a conspiracy theorist. It was because you saw somebody was live and you wanted to come on and see what was going on, see what we were talking about. It was more experience that you like to experience lives and see. You like to see what everybody's talking about and what they're up to.
That's absolutely true, and I'm sorry to jump in. I just saw over here rebuke and reprove. That's my friend Jill, and I guess he's heard about your channel probably through Brojo, and we've been talking about your channel a lot on the pub, but that's rebuke and reprove. His name is Jill, and much like myself and Wildheart, who's a friend I sent over here, and Brojo and Dan, Jill is quite unique. Quite unique. I have a feeling he'll be hitting the link at some point if he's out there. Usually he doesn't just stay in the comments, but we call him Jill. He has another name channel called Jesus is Lord, and so we call him Jill. I'm sorry to interrupt with that, but
that's right. Just a quick question. With the channel Jesus is Lord, is Joe a Christian, practicing Christian, or is that a ironic channel
we
name?
call him Jill for short. I don't know his name. Jesus is Lord, Jill, Jil. So just to clarify that, and is he a Christian? I'm going to let you ask him. I think I've heard him refer to himself as a Calvinist. And the only reason I mentioned that is because I want to stress to you that this person is a character. And once you finally meet this person, you'll understand why I tried to make it a point to introduce this person clearly.
As a character?
Yeah, well, I kind of just threw Wildheart at you, David Grant, with no setup. Which is really why I'm here to give you an update. I put it in the chat, but I'm not sure if you saw it.
Oh yeah, I did. He's not going to be with us for about 12 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was sent him down.
Yeah.
Bailiff, take him down.
No, he beat his case.
He beat his case. So
but
he broke his restraining order or something.
Within 24 hours of beating that case, he did. He messed up again. Yeah.
So he obviously went and got drunk. He beat his case, celebrated with a bottle of vodka.
Well, he was drunk the whole time. He was drunk before.
Well,
during,
yeah.
Other parts you got correct. Anyway, sorry about all that, guys. How's everybody? What are you guys talking about? Take it away.
Yeah, well, we're talking about the idea that that what we're seeing playing out in reality on the world stage is in some way a projection or reflection of internal unresolved internal conflict. The idea that the reality that you experience is tailored to you and it's all based around free wild heart, and it's all based around the things that you need to process as a person, as a consciousness, or whatever. But once you become aware, then it's like, so everybody's stuck in a rat race, and they're all programmed into MSM. They're all watching their MSM. No, you can't get anybody to look. They're all blinkered watching MSM. But then there's us, and we seem to be in this truth movement, and we're all aware, and we're all coming up against these issues, and we're all seeing these things playing out, right? But maybe because we're aware, because we've become aware, it means that now we're aware of more things, but the way that those things are presented to us, we still don't understand, because we're not, because of the way the world works now, we're not brought up correctly. We're not brought up with the knowledge that we should have by the age of 7. The things that we should know about ourselves and about how to deal with conflicts and emotional, particularly emotional conflicts and stuff. And it's
So to
Go on.
summarize,
A stronger mindset.
is there a greater reason to all this is happening? Is there a higher purpose? Is there a big picture? That's, I think, the bottom line of what we've been discussing. Are we just in this rat race, being, running through a maze, having this life for no reason at all? Or is there a greater reason? And that's what we've been asking.
If there was no reason, and we found that out, or if we found out there is no reason, how would it affect us differently? Like, how would you act differently? Would you? And would it be terrifying to find out that it's all nothing? And what if you even found out there's nothing after this, and so forth and so on? You know what I mean? Like, what if you found that out to be true? Would that shatter some people? Maybe it would. I don't know.
Well, when I first was told that this was a game, like somebody gave me that concept, or I saw it in a video, and the way she described this, it was a game. Like we were advanced souls, or souls living outside of this construct, and everything was hunky-dory out there for a long time, and we were bored. And we created this construct with all of this stuff going on in order to experience contrast, to experience challenges, to experience the journey from darkness through to light. And that it was a game, and that at some point that game would be turned off. We'd all go back out and we'd go, oh, wasn't that fantastic? Let's go back. And I'm going to go and be this person next time, and start the program running again. When I first heard that, I was enraged. It took me a while to think of that, because of all of the stuff that I had been through in this life. And that helped me. That rage was around powerlessness, Richie. It was around pointlessness, around hopelessness, that this has no greater meaning. And when I processed all of that emotion around that, I now feel it doesn't matter if it's a game or not. It doesn't matter if it's a construct or not. And so that's what I'm saying. It's an experience. And when you process the emotions of about things that trigger you, you have a different viewpoint then of what you are going through. And that's what happened to me when that concept that this was a game was first said to me. It made me really angry because of those unresolved emotions and issues. But now I don't care. It's a game or it's not. It's a construct. It's a hologram. It's a simulation.
It's presented to us. It's presented to us in so many ways as fictional, right? It's the war is talked. It's the theater of war. There are the actors. There's the the politicians are actors in the theatre of war, and the soldiers are, or the soldiers are soldiers, but the leaders are the actors in the theatre, aren't they? Then you go to court. You go to court, into a court, to play a game, a legal game. You're playing a legal game. It's we operate in a world of legal fiction. Everything like all commerce is conducted in legal fiction. Nothing. Fiction is fiction. Fiction isn't real. Fiction is not fact. And one of the things Russell J. Gould talks about is how fact and fiction they'll never come together in the same place, because once you've got fact, fiction disappears. You can't have fiction where there's fact. So, and we've got caught up in this land of fiction. That's how they've trapped us. That's how they've caught us. We're operating thinking that we're our straw man, entering into contracts constantly, all the time, signing over our rights, our money, our everything, our liberties, signing it all over, our responsibility for ourselves, all over to this land of fiction, corporate fiction. I think that's how they've tricked us and got us running around in this rat race, or the hamster wheel, turned each one of us into an Ouroboros, snake eating its own tail, just constant, going in these vicious circles, not moving, not progressing past, getting stuck in these loops and not learning the lessons. It's all through this turning everything into fiction.
I think that it's I panel hop a lot. Yeah, I jump on a lot of different panels. A lot of them seem to be religious and theology and politics and whatnot. One of the things I hear a lot about is believing versus knowing, and what the difference is, and can you choose what you believe, and when are you justified in saying that you know something? When are you justified in saying that you believe something? Do you need compelling evidence to believe it? At what percent, like if you had to put a number on how certain you are of something, like let's say I'm 75% sure of something. So is that fair enough to say that I believe it? Or at 90%, can I say that I know it? Can you ever truly know something? And the things and just because you claim to know it, does it make it true? And it goes into maybe absolute certainty. So can you be absolutely certain of anything? And if so, should you maybe leave a little wiggle room? So or would you be arrogant to say that you're 100% sure of anything? Because I see science a lot of times get criticized for making theories, or but to me, that's the less arrogant form. Science is very careful a lot of times not to state things as fact, because new science could come later and replace the old science that we thought was good. But then later we learned that we aren't justified in believing those things. Yep. So for me, saying a lot of things here, for me, what I've settled on is to believe something, is to very rarely claim that I know something, almost never if I can help it. I don't like to make claims of knowledge. And then the point in which to believe something for me is once it's been demonstrated. But not just that, because I could argue that a personal revelation has been demonstrated to me that probably wouldn't compel you, so I think it's not just demonstrated to me, it's once I can then therefore demonstrate it to you. You see, once you can replicate it and demonstrate it, I think that's the time to believe something, and not before. So like as far as any life that comes after this, as far as whether or not it's a simulation, as far as whether or not someone's pulling the strings, I don't know, but I don't believe it because I haven't seen the evidence of it, and I'm okay with that, if that makes sense.
But the thing is, you're living quite a. It seems like you're living a fairly stress-free life, right?
Yes, sure.
The experience that you're having, just from what I've seen, I don't know what's going on in your in the wee hours of the morning, whatever. I don't know what's going on in your life, but from what I've seen, you're having a bit of a blast, and it's a bit of a holiday. I don't know how long that's been going on. I don't know how long you've been living the way that you're living now, or if it's just in the last couple of years, or if it's been the last 10 years.
Mhm.
But you're a perfect example of somebody who's seems to be having quite a good experience, even though all this stuff's going on. So you're the perfect example of how, like, you're seeing the same things that I see. Joe Biden's president, and Rishi Sunak is prime minister, and the WHO exists, and the WHO exists, but it's not affecting you the same way that it's affecting me.
That might be true. That might be true. What I realized early on is that I'm fine with the things I don't know. And it's fun to speculate on things, but if I don't know something, I'm okay with saying that I don't know it. There's going to be a lot of things when what I'm okay with that. What I'm not okay with is believing in something, claiming that maybe even know something would be worse. Turns out wasn't true. Um, so, yeah, I'm living a cush life right now, but what I tried to do early on was control the things that I could control, and I realized that money helps. And I did a lot of really nasty, dirty things for money. Okay, things that are unethical and immoral. Okay, things that haunt me to this day and always will. Okay, so you know it's a trade off. But I'm at the point where I have the money and I'm not worried about it and I'm relaxed now. And I got to try to make the things that I did wrong right somehow. But I'm not going to sit here and lie to you that money helps. And once you're not worried about your next meal, then you can worry about your own happiness. And hopefully, in the quest of happiness, you try to help other people and make up for all the shitty things that you did to get in that position. I don't know. That's where I'm at. But I'm just a country boy from South Carolina. I don't know.
Yeah. Richie, can I just jump in? I've got to go.
Oh, no worries, Joe. Thanks so much for joining me.
See you later, guys.
Really good to speak to you. I'll speak to you soon. All right.
Okay,
I'll talk to you about the video, the
Yeah.
intro. All right.
Okay.
I'll speak to you soon. All right.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, the belief knowledge thing was a little interaction I had with David, because David was saying that knowledge is a subset of belief, or belief is a subset of knowledge. And he was saying that if you know something, you automatically believe it. And they're the same thing. Basically, believing and knowing are the same thing. And I said to him, no, believing and knowing are not the same thing. Believing leaves the door open. Believing something means that you don't know. If you believe it, it means you don't know. You just choose to believe. You choose to believe this. You don't know for certain, but you choose to believe it. And that's got there's so much room for error there, like, if you're not savvy to all the information, you could be believing something that's complete rubbish. And I mean that this is where I think half, with this whole thing about the shape of the earth, they've got everybody. You were talking about things being proven as fact, and that scientists not pushing things that aren't factual as actual, So, and yet Dan believes that it's the law of gravity. It's not. It's the theory of gravity. It's the theory of evolution. They still haven't proven those theories. They're still theories. They're not demonstrable. Therefore, they're, in my eyes, it's pseudoscience because it's not demonstrable science.
Well, I would push on it back on this softly and not speak for David or Dan, but what I would say is that it is demonstrable. The gravity is demonstrable. There are plenty of demonstrations that we could come up with.
That doesn't. No, see, that's unfortunately that's the really kind of bog standard response. That's the what's his name? The Neil deGrasse Tyson. You want gravity? There you go. That's gravity. That's
Yeah.
not.
You're
All
demonstrating
you're
a word.
demonstrating is that is also
A word.
what's it? Relative density. That's relative density, dude. And
What I was going to say was that you can demonstrate that things fall at a certain speed, and the acceleration is a certain acceleration, and you can attribute that to forces like gravity. But my point is that if let's say that he believes it because it's a law or a theory, or I don't get caught up in the words themselves, but I don't. But at the same time, if we were to criticize someone for believing in a law or a theory, something that hasn't been proven, what could we point to ourselves as something that we believe that is above that standard? Do you understand my question? Like, if he doesn't have good reason to believe that, then tell me something that maybe you believe in that you feel like you have maybe a better reason. Does that make sense?
Well, it was probably what was put there before the program had changed, which it always was: density and buoyancy.
Relative density and buoyancy. The idea that the air is still has the air has viscosity, right? The air has density to it. That's why there is wind resistance. That's why there's air resistance within this realm, because there are particles in
The volume to 1 cubic milligram of water is exactly that. 1 milliliter is 1 milligram.
I think 1 milliliter is. I'm sorry, go ahead.
So it's just basically that all that's ever demonstrated is relative density. It's just they've attached the word gravity to it, and they say, and so they say that, well, that proves gravity, except it doesn't, because what they can't demonstrate is how gravity is holding the moon in orbit, or how gravity works. Right? How is the sun, which is a gaseous ball of thermonuclear, whatever it is that's got fusion that's going on with the sun.
Yeah.
How is the sun denser? How does it have more mass than a physical ball of rock?
I don't know.
Therefore, it holds 7 planets in orbit, and those planets then, with their mass, hold moons in and satellites in their orbit. How do you demonstrate that? You can't demonstrate that on this earth. You can't demonstrate that within this realm. There's absolutely no way to demonstrate it. They've not been able to. They've not stuck one GoPro camera on the top of a rocket and sent it out to space and given us the live raw footage of the rocket leaving the Earth's atmosphere and filming what is outside of space. And don't say that they don't have they couldn't. There is absolutely no fucking reason whatsoever why they wouldn't be able to do that. Why they wouldn't be able to mount normal cameras with normal lenses onto the rocket and send it out and then have it go around the Earth and come back with the footage and say, there you go. You wanted proof? There it is. Because the technology that we've got now, you've got more technology in your hand, in the phone that you hold in your hand, than the entire of NASA had to send the lunar module up to land on the moon. So they've absolutely always had the technology to be able to do that, yet they still haven't done that. Why? It's the quickest, easiest way to prove everybody wrong. So if it's true what they're saying, why haven't they just proven us all wrong with this natural, raw footage that it's possible for them to get? If it's possible for them to leave the Earth's atmosphere and send rockets up to the moon, it's possible for them to mount a camera on there capable of capturing those images.
We're also saying that this whole charade of going up there is held together by the fact that they've been doing balloons, and no one seems to listen to that. And yet, in the main media, there's been all about this Chinese satellite balloon. And yet, who's the largest supplier, demand of helium? It's NASA. Why would that be?
Why would NASA need all that helium?
Why would they?
You still there?
Taking a smoke break. It's kind of loud out here, so give me just a minute. There's a lot of traffic.
No worries, man.
So yeah,
it's like they have the means, they have the opportunity, they've always had to just put the whole argument to bed. In one mission, they could put the entire argument to bed. But they don't do it. Why is that?
that would be falling on a sword.
Why is that? Why wouldn't they do that? Why wouldn't they just put the issue to bed? Why have, hundreds of thousands of people running around screaming flat Earth? The Earth is flat. It's not a globe. It's flat, or it's a cube, or it's whatever shape it is. It's just not a globe. It's not a globe. If these people are such idiots, right, that just haven't paid attention in school, and it's so easy for them to prove that they've done what they say they've done, why haven't they proven what they say they've done? Why haven't they done that? Why haven't they just mounted cameras to a rocket, done it all special, so they're all protected? But then, hey, Elon Musk managed to launch a fucking roadster out and onto a mission out to go out and fly around wherever it's gone, wherever that roadster's supposed to have gone. They managed to do that, right? But even then, they couldn't do it in such a way that put it to bed. They weren't able to actually put the issue to bed. All they did was fuel more controversy and more, this is bullshit. It's CGI. Look, why is there? He says that the car that he sent up there was straight off the factory floor. There were no special modifications to it. It had normal tires on it and everything, and yet nothing happened. Like those tires would have exploded if that was real.
Oh, the leather.
The condensation wouldn't
would
have
have frozen.
There wouldn't have been condensation
The glass
on
the
glass,
windscreen.
on the windshield. He put that rocket high, very, very, very high up. He let that car out. If he let that car, he did it very high up, but he didn't leave the Earth's atmosphere or anything.
I don't even think it left the studio, Rich.
Well, yeah, it probably didn't. It probably didn't. I mean,
at one point you saw the chroma key lines behind it, just for a second. It was still in the studio in that position. That was on a live scene, and it flicked back, and it was back into outer space with the Earth behind it as a perfect sphere. Then 1 minute it was back in the studio with chroma key lines all over it, only for about 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Then it went black, and then it went back into space again. And they were trying to cover up what actually happened. This was all on during the live.
Oh yeah, I saw it.
So,
And then if you go and look at it now, it's been edited since then, and you'll never get the actual live feed from the night.
and unless you screen recorded it when it happened, basically.
Exactly, yeah.
Or caps.
And if you've got that on your thing, you'll find that your channel's been deleted for another video for some reason.
Like if it's all bull, why did YouTube, before they deleted my channel completely with 2,500 videos on it, why did they go through and delete I think nearly every single one of my globe denier videos where I was making observations? The ones that I sent you were off of Roxanne's channel. She'd uploaded them onto her channel, and she's still got her channel. But so I did a video that I was filming over 3 days, and I was observing the moon, and to prove that the moon rotates by 45 degrees. As soon as the sun goes down, the face of the moon starts to rotate, and it twists about 45 degrees. And then it stops twisting once, it gets to a certain point and then it stops. And I filmed it over 3 days, and in those 3 days I showed that the rotation, when it starts and everything, it stops. I took time lapse videos, and I also showed and proved that the moon that I was seeing during the day could not possibly be the same moon that I'd filmed the night before, because that would not be where it was in the sky. It was impossible. It couldn't have. It was in exactly the same spot in the sky as it was like 12 hours before. So it wasn't. It couldn't have been. It was either that it couldn't have been the same moon, or that there were two moons, or that it was the same moon, but the moon speeds up and slows down, and changes speed as it's going around us. One or the other. It was one or the other. Either the moon changes speed as it's going around us, or there's more than one moon. That video, they deleted 15 minutes out of that video. The whole, basically all the footage. So the video was like just a few minutes long, and it was the beginning of the video and then the end of the video, and I looked like an idiot. They took when the eclipse happened in 2017, August 2017, when the eclipse was in full eclipse in America, I'm filming from the beach here in Tenerife and saying, so where's the moon then? If it's a full eclipse in America, it should be a partial eclipse here. Where is the moon? It's not even there. There's no moon around. So how is this eclipse real? And then the partial eclipse came for us later. But I never saw it. It was just other people caught it on their phones. I was like, it's funny because I was watching it the whole time and I didn't see the moon anywhere around, and then suddenly it's there. But then, so I uploaded it on the day of the eclipse when it was happening. I did a live. It was a live. I was like, all right, so it's full eclipse in America right now, and you can see the sun. Can anybody see the moon? No. I go back, I don't know, a couple of years later, and they've changed the upload date of the video.
Let me ask you a question.
They've changed the upload date to December. So it looks like I'm saying in December, oh, it's the day of the eclipse today, and look, there's no moon. But anybody will go, yeah, but there wasn't an eclipse in December. No, I know there wasn't an eclipse in December. It was in August when I uploaded the video, when I did the live stream and uploaded the video. But they changed all the metadata for it, so it looked like I'd uploaded it in December and just looked like an idiot. Why would they do that?
I don't know.
Unless I was actually showing something that completely destroys their paradigm.
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe they might say that, oh, we had to delete it because it was misinformation made. Oh, it was wrong. It was just misinformation. I don't know what they would say. But here's my question. And because I pen on hop a lot, and I want to tell just shoot remind you and honestly, I'm neutral on most things. I'm not saying that I've never said that I believe this, that, or the third. And I was not going to say that we could demonstrate gravity. I was simply going to say something else that you could demonstrate how the speed in which something accelerates as it falls. But now that's very different. I'm not saying that I can prove anything. So I'm staying neutral on a lot of these issues. But my question to you would be, what, because I panel hop a lot. So I know a lot of people on the internet, especially on YouTube. And what if I knew somebody, for example, just one example, that claims that they could demonstrate that the Earth is a sphere, the moon is a sphere, they're both where it says it is, they're both spinning the way it says it is, and this person is willing to come up here and they say that they can prove it to you, maybe prove it to you, demonstrate it to you, they have a convincing argument, would you want to hear that?
Would I want to hear it?
Yeah, that's my question.
Well, yeah, of course, because it's searching where we are.
Huh?
It's because it's about searching where we are.
But the trouble is, it has to be that person's own independent observation.
It's got to be transparent.
It can't be based on like it, so a lot of the arguments that come back are using arguments that are using
like other people's
methods or whatever that in our eyes is either pseudoscience
assumptions
or assumptions. Yeah. It's nothing. It is not demonstrable.
But I don't know if you would consider it pseudoscience or not, but I do know somebody who claims that they've demonstrated it for themselves in a way, and tell me if this would interest you, because I don't know enough about it. But what he said was he was part of a team. They built this radio wave in a tech school, and they were able to bounce waves off of the moon, and they could pinpoint exactly where to hit the moon so that it bounced back. And if the moon was a sphere, if the Earth was a sphere, they could hit the moon here, and it would come back and hit the Earth here. And that's how, and they could do it to anywhere. They checked it. I mean, you could check it anywhere. If it's a sphere and I hit it here, the radio wave should bounce back here in this exact spot. And he claims he did.
Well,
he claims he did that. And that was.
Can I just interject, just by saying that troposcatter is what you're calling?
I don't know anything.
This is exactly what it is. It's troposcatter was
in the troposphere, bouncing off the
troposphere. It was invented in 1930s. Military, of course.
Should I send that person over here or no?
Yeah, well, it's it's bouncing off of the higher ionosphere, so you can get an actual. You might think you're actually aiming at the moon. You're aiming up, but that's exactly what troposcatter does.
I'll bet one thing as well. I bet they can only do it when the moon is in a certain position. They can only do it when the moon is passing over this certain arc. They'll only be able to do it at that point. That would be the only point they can do it, right? Which doesn't prove, like if we're in a like some sort of crater that is 25,000 miles in circumference, and we've got a firmament dome over the top of us made out of some magical element that nobody's ever even heard of before, right? That allows the projection of the stars and everything, and somehow the moon is plays into that, although I think the moon's much lower than the moon is something within our atmosphere, like within the dome. This bouncing things off the ionosphere or the troposphere can all explain that as well, and it's all about angles and reflections. And this, what Squirrel's talking about, is what they they discovered that they could do, and then there'll be a scientific equation that they worked out according to that, and he's applying that equation to his calculations. And when he's bouncing this radio signal off the moon, right? The moon's meant to be made of what? Rock and dust. Yeah, ice, water. They haven't actually found any, but they say there's meant to be ice there. This idea that you can bounce radio waves off of rock is a bit interesting to me. I don't think it's something that like.
I don't know enough about it. I just heard him explain.
I don't know enough about it either.
Would you like for me to send them your way or no? If it's something you've heard about and don't, you've already debunked or what?
No, I've not. I mean, I've never spoken to anybody that's actually ever done any experiments on that level. We've done observational experiments using lasers and distances, and it's all about trying to prove. The only thing that we think that we can prove, according to their equation, means that it should be demonstrable. The curve should be demonstrable because of the equation that they've applied according to the parameters that they've set.
Have you heard of a guy named T Jump? Letter T like Tom, Jump, G-U-M-P. That's his name on YouTube. And he debates a lot. He's a really smart guy. He's the guy who's done it, and I've heard him talk about it. I know a friend that knows him. He's got a bigger channel. I don't know if he'll come on, but I'm gonna send a message out to him because I would love to hear y'all talk about it. And but if you wanted to learn some more about it, if you looked at T Jump and the radio wave experiment, you could maybe get a head start on it. But I'm gonna send a message that you might be interested in the conversation, and if you don't mind, because I'd be interested in watch it unfold.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely. It'd be extremely fucking ignorant of me to turn down
one of the
opportunity.
furthest radio broadcasts was back in 1980s, and it was from Cornwall, and it was picked up in, I believe it was Wellington in New Zealand.
Jill knows T Jump, and Jill knows T Jump. I saw you in the chat the other day. You know him, Jill. But anyway, I got to run, fellas. Thanks for having me.
All right, man.
And
Take care, man.
Cheers. Have a good night.
Peace. See you soon, dude. Yeah, it'd be interesting to talk to this person, and it would be a good exercise, I think, to disengage all triggers and just listen to what they've got to say. And then
entertain them.
Just see what. I don't know enough about it. I don't know enough about bouncing radio waves off of things to, I know you can gauge distances. If you send, you can send a signal into the earth. You can send a radio electromagnetic signal into the earth to get, and through rock, or, it can determine by the signal what it is, if there is rock there, like if it hits, if it's sedimentary rock, or if it's granite, or what's bedrock, but I think there's certain. I don't know if I've ever heard of radio waves bouncing off of rock. Have you? Can radio waves bounce off of rock?
Not that I've heard of. I mean, the penetrating using radar, but it only works to a certain level. You know.
So I know, if you've got a radio antenna, they put the radio antennas on the top of the highest peaks because any mountains that are in between are going to block that signal, right? But what's happening to that signal? Does that mean that every single radio wave that's being blocked by rock, by mountain or whatever, that radio signal is then bouncing off the rock and off into wherever? If we got radio signals bouncing around all over the place because they're bouncing off the rocks, or are they just absorbed by the rock when they hit it? You on mute. You gone quiet.
Sorry. There you go. Sorry. What I was saying earlier is back in the 80s, they were only putting out a universal height of antennae. Can you hear the owl?
Yeah.
Can you hear?
Yeah.
You hear the owl?
Oh yeah. I wonder what that was actually. Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's out hunting. No, yeah. So there was like a standard kind of size of aerial and power that you were putting into it, and people started to play with not just the power, but the actual antennae as well. And so you were realizing you were getting further and further, and all of a sudden you were getting ridiculous distances. And I think that's when technology then, for some reason, CB, it was free, to talk to someone anywhere on it. But then it all became commercialized.
Bogeyview says, how does the dome theory explain meteors coming down so fast they burn up? Do they crash through the dome? I'd say that as far as all the shooting stars and everything that I've witnessed, I don't know what that is, what shooting stars are, the meteors and that. Who says that they haven't been launched from, so they've got aircraft up there. There have been aircraft up there for a long time. Probably longer than we've known about aircraft. There's been something up there and somebody's known about it. And whether it's staying up there by helium or anti-gravity or whatever it is, that technology that we don't know about. And so there's the what's it called, that satellite, the dark night satellite that's supposed to be
Dark
for,
night, yeah.
Hundreds of years.
Nemesis.
Who said, maybe meteors are launched by whatever it is.
They're part of the constructs, aren't they? They're part of that. They break through the realm, as it were. Of you got to step away from imagining that there is this solid dome, and that there is, a material realm outside of this dome. You've got to think about the manuscripts and the paintings of the skies when, on a beautiful blue day, the curtains opened up as if it was black sky, and this huge, fiery, jagged ball came out of it. You know, it didn't come from here. It was constructed within here. You know, who knows what it is? But it became materialistic the moment it entered, because it was part of the program. That's my view, anyway.
I mean, Sterling says if you YouTube search bouncing radio waves off the moon, there's many videos of people claiming it. But I
Was that off the little mirror that they put up there?
That
or was that just the laser?
Yeah, it was the laser on it. But so I'll just go back to my original question, which was doesn't rock absorb radio wave? It doesn't reflect it, because if it reflected it, it would cause all kinds of problems. All the rock that's here, all the mountains that are here, that are and buildings and whatever, that it would mean the signals would be so much more confused than they are, because of all the radio waves bouncing around off all the rock. I don't think rock bounces radio waves, but a firmament might.
Yeah. The edge of consciousness coming back at us.
Like YouTube, like if you wanted to, if you do a search for YouTube to prove that the Earth is a globe, there's thousands of videos of people.
Take your pick of cartoons.
Thousands of people just regurgitating the same indoctrination, quoting the same equations.
It's funny, if you type in flat Earth, you get the same people talking about flat Earth as well.
Yeah. And the same, like, it won't be long before you come across Simon Dan and flat Earth. The whole flat Earth thing, as far as I'm concerned, is a psyop. It's one big psyop that's designed to capture our attention, capture our focus, take us away from what we're supposed to be focused on, which is understanding ourselves. Understanding ourselves, understanding each other,
keeping a high frequency.
Yeah, rising above the bullshit that is put there specifically to keep us fighting each other, to allow these other people to slip in and take control and steer the world, steer whatever this realm is, whether it's a spinning ball of rock or a pizza dish or a cube or whatever it is, or we're all inside a sphere. Personally, I don't care. I don't care what it is. I don't care what shape it is. The only reason I've got an issue with it is because it's made people believe some ridiculous story that we evolved from primordial goo. That there wasn't a higher intention behind us being here.
No, they prefer to be a mistake.
Because then it's easier to be an arse, to be a dickhead, to be an idiot, to not feel like you have to answer to anybody, and you can just live life how you want to and screw everybody else. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It's lack of responsibility.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's wanting to be a selfish little brat your entire life and have no responsibility and have no accountability for your actions or your behavior. it's much easier to be an immoral or morally bankrupt wanker if you deny the fact that you were created, and that, well, at the end of the day, it just evolved from a monkey, didn't I? That evolved from a retarded retarded monkey fish or something.
Mhm.
Can't remember what.
Well, look, yeah, there's a monkey in that tree. Just to clarify for Jennifer.
My sister was born in the year of the monkey, so my uncle used to call her Cheeky Monkey.
Cheeky monkey.
And that's the Cheeky Monkey is the name that I've reassigned that name to
Adopted for, yeah,
what
the
I
AI.
previously perceived as being nasty, demonic, nasty, horrible, malevolent, scary things. Now they've been demoted and they're all just cheeky monkeys.
Cheeky monkeys.
They have no power. Only the power that we give them. Well, I'd be interested to see if, like, I'd be interested in having a chat with somebody that's interested in.
Well, if it's if they've gone all that trouble to shoot radio waves to the moon, I hope they have looked up at troposcatter. Because if they've skipped that bit and they've just learnt the one bit, they don't understand that it could be completely something else that they're doing, and they're perceiving it as something else.
Because that's how it's been presented to them.
Exactly.
By people that they deemed to be.
They trusted,
Yeah, they trusted them because they deemed to be them. They're qualified. They've got letters after their name. Doctorates in.
I'd like to know if the radio waves told them if the moon was colder or warmer.
And how do they explain? How does modern science explain the fact that the sun, the moon, apparently is not an independent light source? It reflects the sun, yet the light that it reflects is cooler than the shadow.
And it's demonstratable.
That is demonstrable.
Repeatable.
That's absolutely demonstrable. So how do they explain that? Oh, we can't.
Mm-hmm.
How did they explain the mass of the sun? How is a gaseous ball of fire got more mass?
Especially if it's exchanging energies,
Yeah.
if it's giving off energy every single day.
It's burning itself up. It's getting, smaller and smaller and smaller every day. It's an exhaustible source of fuel. There is a limit to it. They say it will burn out. It might take 1 billion years or whatever, but our sun will eventually burn out according to their paradigm.
It'll be 33 billion. Don't forget.
So how, as it gets smaller, surely its mass decreases. As its mass decreases, its gravitation.
We won't be evolving around it as quickly.
Yeah,
therefore our days would be getting.
Pluto will disappear. It will lose Pluto. It will lose the further planets. Jupiter, Saturn. They're all going to drift off eventually as it loses its mass.
Richard, but this will be over another 33 billion years from now. Don't forget.
This is the thing, isn't it? Well, it's demonstrable, but it's going to take. It's going to take 30 billion years for this to happen.
I've told you.
Yeah.
We know all of this.
Yeah.
Because I've studied hard.
Richie, it's going to be another David. I can see it already. Sorry to be a Debbie Downer. And no, I'm sorry, Jennifer, you're absolutely right. It is insulting to monkeys. I think there are. I think that the monkeys are a lot more intelligent than quite a few of the people that are out there.
They get the bad rap. They get the bad rap in this. You know, we even mock them in films. God damn it! The Planet of the Apes.
Yeah. But the interesting thing is in Indian history, there were ape-like beings, weren't there? At one point, the simian type. It's in their Mahabharata or wherever it is.
It's one thing I've really not looked into is Indian culture. I hear it is the second most richest country in the world at one point.
Well, I've read the letter from the Lord, whatever his name was, who was writing back to whatever the monarch was of the British Empire, saying basically describing the culture, describing the country, or the lands, and the culture and the people, and saying it was basically the richest, most extravagant, beautiful, amazing place. Like there was no way we couldn't compete with it, and the only way to beat it would be to completely destroy their connection to their culture and their history and everything. And
they certainly did that.
And they went in and they completely destroyed their they set in that, the education system. They told them that everything that they've been learning was bullshit. This is all fantasy, all this Hindu stuff and all this stuff that you've been basically learning for generations is all fantasy because it's, God and Jesus Christ and yada, yada, yada. King, whoever. Yeah. And the thing is, they were peaceful, they weren't an aggressive or an oppressive.
That's how they were rich. They were rich in many ways.
Yeah, and
they had the
caste system, but it was different. It was there was a natural progression through their caste system. The more you did, the more you achieved. You moved up a caste. If you I don't know what the terms were exactly, but like if you start off as a Habatra or whatever it is, and then you get married and have a child and start a family, and you become Mahabharata or something, like
But I suppose it's all about honor and
responsibility,
recognition, and
responsibility.
Yeah, exactly.
It was massively about
That's all part of the community.
Yeah, building a family and being responsible,
Trust.
being honourable, all of these things. And you start off down in the, some people start lower than others, but everybody has the opportunity. Everybody had the opportunity, but then that all changed, and the caste system was set. So if you're untouchable, that's it. You and your family were untouchable for eternity. Your bloodline, yeah. That isn't how it used to be.
That's the takeover. No, that's the whole takeover. It may be many bloodlines, but that was the point where it was taken over.
Yeah.
Oh, listen, it's 1 o'clock.
Yeah, mate, it's
must
1
be
o'clock.
sleep.
I should go to bed. Been live for nearly
Cool.
3 hours, so thanks for joining, dude.
Good one. No, it's been good.
I'm gonna go live tomorrow. I don't know. I want to go live with music,
Yeah.
but
Save the voice.
excuse me, smoke went down the wrong way. The little girl is having a party tomorrow. There's some party is happening tomorrow in the bit out. You know, the
Yeah.
I don't know what we call it out there. It's the our patio, except it's covered over.
Yeah.
But yeah, our patio, which is right outside my room. So I don't know. I think it starts at 12 o'clock, and I was invited to it. She invited me to it. So I'm gonna have to show my face. Hopefully, it won't be going on all afternoon, and I'll be able to go live with music.
Jump on later.
But otherwise, I'll just go live with a, have a panel or whatever. But yeah, sometime tomorrow I'll go live.
Cool.
All right, dude. Thank you very much, mate.
All right. No worries.
well.
We'll take care, everyone in chat.
Sleep well.
Have a good night.
Speak to you.
Take care.
Take it easy. All right,
Bye.
peeps. Thank you very much for joining me tonight. I'm glad I went live. I wish I could have gone live sooner. But it is what it is. Yeah. Like I said, not sure what time I'm going to go live tomorrow. I'll probably go live in the morning for coffee. Yeah. We'll go live and have a coffee in the morning. If I'm not live in the morning, I will go live in the afternoon. And if I can, I'm going to get the guitar out and have a live music healing session. And if I can't do that tomorrow, then I will do that on Sunday, definitely. Shout out to the chat room. Anno, Martin Haley, Jennifer, Renstar, Bogey Views. Just scrolling up and seeing who's chatting. I can only shout out at people what is chatting. Joe, obviously, thanks for being here, Joe. I know you're probably on your premiere now, which I'll have to watch tomorrow. Annalise, thank you very much. And Dean Kendall, to join now. Rebuke and reprove, if you're still here. Squirrel Sniper, thanks again, mate. And listen, anybody that I've missed, I've just missed you because you haven't said anything for a while in the chat. To anybody lurking, for whatever reason, sending everybody my love. And yeah, I'm going to go to bed now because it's like 1:10. It's way past my bedtime. I'm going to play out with a nice little video.
It is all around us. Even now, in this very room, you can see it when you look out your window or when you turn on your television. You can feel it when you go to work, when you go to church, when you pay your taxes. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth. What truth? That you are a slave